I was a daily drinker, bottle of wine during the week, and then weekends usually just kind of free for all day, both days. And Mondays were always really, really rough. And was always looking for an answer. I literally tried to quit drinking probably dozens of times, and I'd make it a few days or a couple weeks or a couple of months. Once I made it 6 months. But when I was quitting all of those different times, I always knew in the back of my mind that I would drink again. Like, if I'm honest with myself, I knew it was just a matter of when it would be, kind of believing that if I was able to prove to myself that I could be sober, that, like a lot of us, we think, oh, okay, yeah, I can moderate my drinking now. But I kept trying to quit and would always return back to alcohol. And it seemed to just be getting worse with every year that I was stuck. Like, Chris, you called it a trap. I love to call it a trap as well, because it's really what it is. And it was getting worse year over year, to where I was doing riskier things, putting myself in riskier situations, drinking harder alcohol. Like, I was turning to whiskey a lot more often, or wine and whiskey. And so it was just getting worse and worse. And earlier in the call, John, you mentioned about how, people who might feel like their fate is alcohol addiction. And that's honestly what I felt right before I got to the Sinclair method was, I guess I'm just going to be, an alcoholic for the rest of my life. I can't get out of this. Like, I've tried so many different times. There's, people in my family. I was just thinking, well, maybe this is my fate in life. And I was kind of accepting it. But then, one hungover morning, I was scouring the internet once again for some answers, and I would always listen to sober stories from people in AA or other people who had found, their way out. And I would get inspired by them, but that inspiration would fizzle out and the craving would kick in and I would return to drinking again. So that one particular day, though, I found Claudia's TED Talk and, learned about Claudia Christian, learned about the Sinclair method. And it took me a couple months to find the medication. And once I started on it, I saw an immediate difference, like within the first week, to where, previous to the Sinclair method, alcohol-free days were very hard for me. And I would usually force them and white knuckle them and just do them out of a sense of guilt. Like, I need to have a day without alcohol because it's been, weeks or months. But that first week, I was able to have my first alcohol-free day that was uncomfortable. Like, I could have still drank, but that craving was much less. And I took myself after work. Like, I lived in a coast town, so I went to the beach and I just was like, this is crazy. I'm not drinking tonight. And it doesn't feel like I'm, totally tortured by it. And just, from there, it just kept improving little by little by little. And that's the thing with the Sinclair method. I think sometimes people get on it thinking it's going to be this overnight shift or this pill's going to fix everything. But I was on the method for a full year, and it was just week over week, these gradual improvements I would see that, I was thinking about alcohol a little less often. I could no longer finish a bottle of wine, or a few months in, I no longer wanted to drink at home alone anymore. I only wanted to drink socially. It just didn't appeal to me. And so over the course of a year, it just gradually, my alcohol kept gradually reducing to the point where at a year, I ultimately stopped drinking just because I genuinely lost all interest in alcohol. But throughout that time, I was also, actively seeking out things in life that would give me enjoyment and meaning, because what I realized was alcohol was my purpose. I was living for that drink and I didn't even realize it, but I was thinking about alcohol starting at 11 a.m. every day, looking forward to that wine ritual every night and truly just living for it. And so as that became a smaller part of my life, I realized, oh my gosh, I've got to fill this with something, because it is, I still have this choice to drink, which I see people on the Sinclair method, they'll drink out of habit, even though they don't really want to. It's like they don't know what else to do with their time, or they're bored, or they're sad. And so they just keep turning to alcohol. But we've got to proactively kind of challenge ourselves a little bit to try new things. Like, I didn't even know what my likes were or my enjoyments were. So I kept trying all these things. I went to the store and literally got paint and was just like painting a picture. I'm a terrible artist, but I was like, well, this is what I did when I was little. Maybe I'll enjoy it now, But that is such a crucial part of this process, because I think one of the biggest challenges I see with people on the Sinclair method is they get the medication and then they're only taking the medication, which is a crucial part, but they're not doing the other side of it, which is truly creating this life that we no longer want to run away from with alcohol. Because by the time I reached extinction, which was about 8 months in, I was still drinking like once or twice a month, but it was like to have a glass of wine out with dinner. It wasn't because I had a bad day, because by that time I had learned new ways to cope with bad days. And so that was my journey through the method, and why I appreciate both of your perspectives so much, because it is this holistic approach to it, because, we don't develop alcohol use disorder in a silo. It's something that, interferes and interacts with all areas of our life. And alcohol is a very, useful temporary coping tool and a habit. That was one of the biggest things I realized too, how much I was drinking habitually. And so it's more complex than just taking a pill and, kicking back and letting it do all the work. But the Sinclair method, like, I don't think I would be sober today if not for that, because like I said, I tried dozens of times over the course of a decade. It really did repair my brain and my craving to where today it's been 3.5 years since I drank. And if I smell alcohol, I somewhat gag in my throat. I'm just so repulsed from it. And as opposed to like, oh, wishing I could have it. So that's my story with the method.